Welcome back, everybody. As y'all can see, we're having us a nasty day. So I went to bed last night with the intentions to get up today and do a mowing video and maybe show a little bit of cooking. So as y'all seen last weekend when we tried to do our live stream, Tiffany has some family in town and we knew they were going to come over today. And she asked me to smoke some Boston butts or do something on the smoker. So I told her sure. Went to bed last night. It was showing like a 20-30% chance of rain today, not much. Woke up this morning, huge glob of rain on us, 100% chance of rain. Forecast has done changed overnight. So I don't know that I'm going to get to my mowing today to get this yard cleaned up for all the company that's coming this afternoon. So this video still may include some mowing. If you're new to the channel and stumbled across me cooking, you're probably wondering, what the heck is this guy doing talking about mowing? That's what this channel is truly about, just our country way of living. We do firewood on this channel, mowing, gardening, everything else. So that's why I'm showing a little bit of smoking, because a lot of the viewers have requested me to cook and smoke a little more on here because we do so much firewood on the channel. So that's what it's about. That's why you may see your first ever cooking channel showing some mowing and yard work. Again, what we do. Quite random on the channel. That's the way it's always going to be. We don't do the same thing day in, day out. So let me get these Boston butts out of the package. Get them up here. We're going to lightly season them with some Grill Mates Applewood rub. This is Tiffany's favorite seasoning for smoked meat. And then I'm going to explain how I'm going to do them on the smoker today. I'm going to do something a little different today. Typically we go for kind of lower cooked sliced pork. Today I'm doing pulled pork, and I'll tell you the way that I do that. Now these are bone-in pork butts, and I think bone-in has a better flavor personally. And if you cook it right, especially for pulled pork, the bone should come right out. Now, if we're going to do sliced pork and kind of cook to a lower temp, typically I'll get a boneless one. But again, you do lose some of the juice and flavor, I feel like personally. But it shouldn't matter today. We're going to make sure this is falling apart. Bone will pop right out, then we'll shred everything. Now, if I get a really thick cap of fat on them, I do like to trim them up. But these right here trim quite well. I see a couple bloody spots that I'm going to get out. Other than that, the only other thing I like to do is score the fat a couple different directions. I feel like it helps it break down a little better. Otherwise, like I say, I'll trim it up if it's extremely thick, because that just takes forever to break down on the smoker. Alright, so as y'all can see, all I did was cut some cross hatches in it just to help that fat break down. And overall, these are trimmed up very, very well. Alright, so next I'll just take some of this Applewood rub and coat it. Maybe not quite that thick, but we'll coat it pretty thick. Starting to come down pretty good out there. Alright, so I thought I'd come back in our, what are we calling this? Processing room. So for all y'all that stumbled across this and new to the channel, this is a building I built out of my shop. We currently live in a camper while we're building our pole barn house. So this room is kind of our everything room, where we do laundry, where we cook and prep, and it just gives us a space outside of that camper. But anyways, I thought I'd come back in here to let you know what's going on because it's starting to rain hard enough now underneath that metal barn roof. You won't be able to hear me. So as you just seen, I'm kind of targeting 250 degrees. 250 to 250 at grate level. That's critical. I don't use the thermometer up top because it's showing over 300 degrees right now. So I mounted 2 thermometers at grate level where your food is. Makes sense. That's where I want to get my temp at. And I want to maintain 225 to 250. I don't care about time for what I'm trying to accomplish today. The ultimate goal is to break down this butt. All the connective tissues, the fat, everything. That's going to take several hours. So what I'm looking for, probably once we get up in the 160 degree range, I'll go out there and start checking the fat. And once that fat is not springy, but I can push a fork through it, a thermometer, or even my finger down into the fat on top, and it kind of just turns to jello, basically pushes right in. That's good. That lets me know all that fat and collagen and everything else in the meat is breaking down. At that point, I'll wrap the butts in heavy duty foil. May even crank the heat up just a little more, and I'm running them on up to well over 200. But what I'm still looking for then, more than the temperature, is whenever I stick a probe or something back in through the tin foil into the meat, I want it to just slip right in, and so you can kind of physically tell that meat is falling apart. We've broke down all the connective tissues. That's how you get pulled pork in my mind. Break down all the tissues, it'll fall apart on you. Like I said, typically we do sliced pork. You don't want to run it that far. You don't want to break down all the connective tissues. Otherwise, there's no way to slice it and kind of put it on your sandwiches. So, trying a little something different today. Apologize for the rain and the noise. We're making the best of it. Alright, so at this point it's been about 5 hours. We're up to about 165 degrees on the pork, but more important than the temperature, I want to make sure that fat is breaking down. If it is, that's great. Now I'm ready to go ahead and wrap it. So I've got 2 layers of real thick, heavy duty foil that I'm going to wrap these in, and then put them back on there. That's when I'll run them up to 200 plus degrees to finish breaking them down. At that point, I'm not so picky about temperature or anything else. But like I said, most important is let's make sure this fat is breaking down. Alright, so these look excellent. You can see how the fat's kind of pulling back and cracking in some places. But most importantly, see how my finger broke through and went in it? And it's kind of sticky. That's what I'm looking for. It's got a little bit of bounce back. We probably could let this go a tad longer. But the fact that my finger is willing to kind of push and break through, that's what I'm looking for. So very close, could go a little bit longer, but I think I'm happy with that right there. And look at all the just kind of jello type material that's coming out and starting to drip down. That's all that collagen that's breaking down that we want out of there. So there it is. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap these. Now I just stuck that thermometer down in there and it's already kind of getting easy. This is about the temperature, that 165 range, to where I'll pull them off and do sliced pork. They still hold together great, slice right here, but have a lot of flavor. So now I'm going to continue to run this up, like I say, 200 plus. Then I'll come out and actually stick a thermometer probe in it again. And if it just really slips in like butter, you can tell they're falling apart, they're done, I'll pull them off. And I'm not so picky about temperature at this point. I may run it on up to 275 or so, and I don't mind letting it fluctuate a little here. We're no longer absorbing that flavor. We're already breaking down the connective tissues and the collagen just like we want. We've kind of done our job at this point. We're just going to continue to run it on up for a period of time to finish breaking everything down. Now I realize I forgot to say what kind of wood I'm smoking with. Whenever I start out making my coals, I'm not too picky. You can see I had oak and pecan and everything else going in there. I was just using some dry wood, but I'm trying something new today. I've got a lot of split cherry wood, and I've decided I'm gonna smoke a cherry. It should give it a nice color and a nice flavor as well. I've actually never done pork butts with cherry. Typically I just use oak or pecan. So this is a new experiment for me today. I think it's gonna turn out great, but you don't know till you try. So I've just been adding cherry the last few hours. That's all I've been doing. Coming out about once an hour, every 45 minutes, throwing a couple chunks on there and trying to keep that temperature pegged at 250 is what I've been trying to accomplish. All right, so these butts are a little over 200 degrees, about 208, 209. It's actually a little higher than I'd like for them to be, but they should be falling apart. The way that I like to tell, take this thermometer, and if you can stick in there, it's just falling into it like butter. These are absolutely done. So what I'm gonna do now is pull these off, let them rest for about 1 hour to pull some of the juices back up in them, to keep them from kind of drying out. That is critical. Let them rest if you're gonna do pulled pork. Ooh, there's a lot of juice in there, but you let them rest, it'll soak it up. All right, well, it's the moment of truth. I have let these rest for 1 hour. You can do a couple hours or more, really, if you want to. And sometimes I'll wrap them up in towels, put them in coolers to really let them slowly come up, not to room temperature, but just kind of draw all that juice in is what they're happening. So I'm gonna pull this out. We're gonna test it. It already looks so juicy and falling apart. Put it in these pans and we're gonna shred it. So you always hear, it's falling apart in my hands. You always hear the real test of if you have pulled pork is if you can pull the bone out. Look at that. I literally just pulled the bone right out of this. No meat whatsoever stuck to it. This is gonna be so tender and so good. So here's that beautiful butt with all that bark on it, all that flavor. I'm gonna try to get it over in the pan before I shred it. Just falling to pieces in my hands. And even after 1 hour of sitting, it is still so hot. Look at this. Guys, ladies, just check this out. It's just falling apart in my hands. Wow. Just absolutely awesome. Woo, that is so unbelievably hot. I'm gonna try one quick piece of this. I've got a lot of family out here that we're gonna go out and spend some time with. That's what it's all about. But I did want to show you all the way that I do my pulled pork butts. I don't think I've ever done that on the channel. Actually, I don't do pulled pork very often. Typically, we do sliced pork. But I love running it up the temp like this, really breaking it down to where it's just melting in your mouth. You can see it's got a smoke ring on the outside. Excellent flavor. That is so good. That is so good. That's the first time ever I have smoked with cherry. Beautiful flavor. Falling to pieces. Of course, that doesn't matter. It's all about time and temperature there to break everything down. But the flavor of cherry is amazing. I like it. But look at this. I just can't. It just mushes in your hand. That's the way pulled pork is supposed to be. That's why it's so critical to keep it at those temperatures. Break down all that collagen, all that connective tissue, and just let it fall apart on you. So I'm going to shred this up. We're going to pour some Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue on it. Go out and enjoy time with family. Thank y'all so much for watching. Sorry we didn't get anything accomplished today. Nothing on the house, nothing around the property. It has rained all day long. But there's nothing better to do on a rainy day than make some awesome barbecue. Hopefully you enjoyed it.